From clarkwoods.com, this is Horribly Off Topic, episode number 145. I am Chris.
And I'm Steve.
And I'm Chris.
And I like to play with my balls. Play with my balls.
I don't like to play with my balls anymore. They hurt.
What happened?
They just hurt. I'm an old man. I've got hurting balls.
I don't know what it was, but I remember in my early youth. In my early youth, well, not early youth. In my sort of late youth or early pubescence. How about that? Mm-hmm. Or maybe around
juvenescence is a word that I discovered is a thing.
Is it like evanescence?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think juvenescence for it has two. I don't know. I was trying to make a joke about fucking evanescence. There used to be two of them, and now there's only one. No, juvenescence was a thing. I looked up for a story I was writing, and adolescence was too young. Wake me up
inside. Was that evanescence?
That was evanescence.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That was their hit.
That was Evanescence. Evanescence sometimes ended up on his stomach during his adolescence.
Who's Evan?
That was a night dream, night terror,
night trap.
That was a night trap joke. Yeah. No, you know, like in your adolescence when you start getting a stiffy, and then all of a sudden you start. No. Out. So juvenescence is a word.
Well,
I think it's somewhere between adolescence and adulthood. Or maybe younger. I don't know. I had to look it up. And it was appropriate for the context in which I used it, more appropriate than adolescence.
I think it was around the time where I was starting to get boners, but I had like the worst jock itch problem around that time in my life.
Oh, that's not fun.
And like I didn't really know what to do with it, so I just kind of dug in at my ball sack.
Oh, and
I had some pretty raw balls back then.
And so like what did you red raw bleeding? I mean, like how bad did it get?
Yeah, it was. I don't think it was like bleeding
Not
to
bleeding.
The point where like I needed new undies, but it was bad.
Yeah.
And then I got some of that Gold Bond powder. I sort of had to sneak out to the old CVS and pick some of that up, and that did wonders.
Yeah. Gold Bond.
Gold Bond powder.
This episode of Horribly Off Topic sponsored by Gold Bond Dick Itch Powder.
Oh no, it wasn't my dick that itched; it was my balls.
Oh, that's Dick Itch Powder's in a separate section of the.
Would be like that's weird because like you know when you get a jock itch, you don't get it on your penis, you get it on your balls.
You do get it on your balls.
And that same itchy whatever that's causing your balls to itch is apparently not making your dick itch.
No, but it could make your toes itch, especially if you rub your toes against your balls. But it's the same thing.
Yeah, I never was able. I don't think I can do that. Like it's not something that I can move my legs.
It takes practice, Steve.
Yeah, I'm not gonna try again. Not that I ever did, but
you never try to jerk yourself off with your toes.
Actually, no. I could probably like if I was sitting down, get like the bottom of my feet underneath.
It depends on how big your erection is at that point. I think.
Why did I just buzz?
I don't know. Somebody's trying to say, please stop talking about.
Oh, I got 3 emails.
3 emails all at once. All from people saying, please stop talking about jerking your dick off.
I'm not talking about jerking my dick off.
I'm talking about it. Maybe they're emailing me. They just got us mixed up.
Okay, well, I'm just talking about having itchy balls.
Itchy balls. I get the itchy balls from time to time.
Yeah, I mean...
I have itchy skin just to begin with.
I think it just might have been living at my dad's house at that point in time in my life and, you know...
Yeah.
Poor ventilation.
Too many men in one house.
What, 2?
Yeah, it's too many. There can be only one. I don't know if you watch that movie, but there can be only one.
Or that television series.
Or that, you know. But there were 2 of them towards the end. I mean, like, didn't they make a crossover movie where suddenly instead of there just being one of them, there were 2 of them, and they didn't kill each other, right?
Television series was Connor McLeod.
I think so.
Or was the movie Connor McLeod? And
Duncan. Yeah, Duncan was the TV show.
Okay, but the theme song to that television show, it wasn't Dust in the Wind.
No, I know. But the episode of that show that always got me, that got me right in the
Highlander.
Was the episode with Dust in the Wind.
I never watched the show except for that. Like we've talked about, like my aversion to that show because of the editing assignment I had to do back in college.
I think yes.
But so I'm not going to retread that like for the 4th time.
No.
But the theme song for that show was the greatest.
Yeah.
Princes
Here
of the.
Here we are, born to be kings.
You sound just like Freddie
No,
Mercury.
Every week I do something that so completely embarrasses myself that when it gets to the editing of this, I just want to put
You
my
contemplate
fist
taking it
through.
out?
Yes, and it would cause too much work. So
In continuity, people are going to be like, they were just talking about one thing.
There are
and then
times
all
when
of a sudden, like Steve's like talking about what Chris just said, even though he didn't just say anything. You don't want to fuck with that.
No, you don't want to fuck with putting a boombox over your head.
What?
Say anything.
You are all over the fucking place.
I am all over the place. I was trying to make a point about how I hate myself, and when I listen to the show, it makes it even worse. But we got horribly off topic.
Did you do that one on purpose?
Maybe. So I could annoy myself in 2 hours when I'm editing this.
Perfect.
Yeah, which is not.
So itchy balls. Like send us an email hot@clarkwoods.com if you want
about your hot itchy balls.
Tell us about your hot itchy balls
or your hot itchy whatever. We don't want to exclude the ladies that listen to the show.
Like breasts. I don't know. Do girls get a sort of jock itch like men do?
I don't think we should start talking about this because I think we're going to get something wrong. I imagine that yes. I think there's the whole issue of like the yeast infection. Like
that's inside.
That's inside, but it itches.
I'm talking about like itchy labia or whatever.
I think the yeast infection makes the labia itch.
Okay, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I know that
I don't have one, so I don't know.
I am raising children who do have them, and as I recall, there have been times when they've somehow ended up with the yeast infection. We've had to get like the crap to
was it a little egg?
I don't know how to answer it. You mean was the medicine a little egg?
Yeah.
I don't recall it being a little egg. No, I do recall it being weird, like especially when something like that happened. If I was the one that had to apply it, because I'm hypersensitive to the notion of me doing anything that could be misconstrued as abusive to my children, including changing their diapers.
Wow.
like I'm so hypersensitive to those sorts of issues that doing completely normal things that are part of parenthood make me nervous.
All right. Well, you made it through the diaper changing years.
I made it through the diaper changing years. Now it's the hug years where sometimes I read articles and stories about consent and I get extra. Listen. I get extra.
Holy hell! You need to stop reading those articles, Chris.
I get extra concerned about whether or not I'm allowed to hug my children without asking them if I'm allowed to hug them first.
You can hug your children, and if they give you the face, then you're just like, oh, whatever. They're your children, and you love them.
Yes. But if they don't want to be hugged, you have to respect the fact that they don't want to be hugged.
Yeah, we'll give them a quick hug and just like, get out of here. Yes.
Yeah, they say get out of here. But sometimes...
You stupid kid.
Yeah, anyway.
You should love my hugs. I'm your goddamn father.
I just read a story this morning where somebody said that. It was
you should love my hugs?
Well, no, he got mad when his daughter is a drunk dad, and he got mad when his daughter wouldn't come give him a hug, and he screamed at her until she came and gave him a hug.
Well, that's nice.
What
a good.
And I'm not saying that I understand. I'm not screaming at my child, telling them to hug me.
I mean, at a certain point...
I'm not saying that I'm a horrible person, but I suspect I might be a horrible person.
You're not a horrible person. In fact, you're quite the opposite. And the fact that you want to hug your children, it shows that you have affection for them in a not inappropriate way.
All right. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Thank you, Dr. Steve.
Yeah, that is what I do. I try to belay concerns it's just, willful children that, don't want to be doing something that, eventually they'll come around.
Yeah.
That's usually what people say. Your kid will come around.
Your kid will come around.
And be like, oh, I love my dad. I want to give him a hug. And then they will.
Yeah.
So you don't, obviously just don't be like, I need to give you a hug.
I need to give you a hug. No. Yeah.
But, give them a hug, or I don't know. What the fuck? It's the weirdest fucking thing ever. Like, I just give your kid a hug. I'd be like, child, do you consent to for me to give you a hug?
It's a weird conversation to have.
That is not a conversation to have ever with anybody. Like,
sometimes it's a conversation you need to have.
All right, so like in like, let's just say some people are dating or something like that.
Okay. Yes.
And you go in for a hug, and like say the other person sort of kind of walks away from your hug.
Yes.
That's a good indication that they don't want a hug.
Right.
And so if you were to give them a hug at that point,
that would be
probably bad. But saying to that person instead of giving them or offering them physically, just instead ask if that person asked, "May I give you a hug, kind person? I have had a pleasant evening. Yay! I wish we should cap it off with a hug."
Would it be okay if I hugged you?
Yeah. No.
I understand where you're coming from. I'm just saying I have a lot of.
I understand that I totally get like that like women are like
beset upon.
That men are like sometimes really sketchy, terrible assholes, and you need to be wary of that.
Sometimes. I think that's part of it too. Is that I as a dude, as a white dude. Heat myself into the sketchy asshole, like just.
But you're not a sketchy asshole to your children.
No, I know that, but a big part of my self-image is that I'm a sketchy asshole.
You're not. Like in the grand scheme of things, as far as like, I think from a scale of 1 to 100,
1 to sketchy,
1 to 100 being the sketchiest.
Scale of 1 to sketchy.
0 being not sketchy at all, and
right.
And 100 being the sketchiest person ever. I think
Yeah.
you're probably well below 25%, the 25% mark of as far as sketchiness goes.
But we did talk within the last couple of weeks about how I used to send women letters, right? Instead of
that was just like you
was like more 50 to 75% sketchy back then.
I don't know if that's sketchy. It's just weird and uncomfortable.
Okay.
Like if you were like, I think the sketchy part would be if you were like stalking them.
Right. Okay. Fair point.
So like, I mean, maybe the letter writing would push you slightly above 25%, but if you were stalking, that's well above 50%, getting close to the 100% range.
Right.
So, there's 50 shades of sketchy. Or 100. I don't know. What the fuck?
50 shades of sketchy there. That kind of takes the cake. That is the early favorite for title of the show.
Okay.
Those fucking books. Yeah, let me tell you something, Steve. So I'm sitting here. I don't know. I haven't said.
Have you read them?
No, I haven't. But
okay.
No, this is something I was thinking about on the way over here.
That's really weird that I brought it up.
No, because it all ties back into the same self-confidence issues. As a writer, I'm sitting here trying to figure out where my place is in the world, right? And where my work belongs in the world. And I have all these sort of preconceived notions about how it's supposed to go out there and how maybe it's not supposed to go out there. And then I think about the stuff that does go out there and becomes a success. And essentially, Twilight fan fiction has become that in the form of 50 Shades of Grey and 50 Shades Darker and all of that has gone on to become a literary success that has now gone on to be 2 fucking films with a 3rd one on the schedule for some time in the next couple of years. That's what's considered a success in the sort of publishing world. And is that what I'm after? No.
You could probably write a Twilight-esque novel.
I could, but I think there's something controversial I want to say here, which is that you could do that if you were not a sketchy white dude, like or soon to be dead white dude. Like I don't know where I fit in. That's the other part of this that
What do you mean soon to be dead white dude?
eventually to be dead white dude. Not
Yeah,
soon.
everybody is going to be dead at some point.
Not everyone is going to be
all
a
of us
dead
sooner
white
rather
dude.
than later because of that idiot.
But we have lots of conversations in curriculum meetings and in my classes and things about expanding and diversifying our reading list, right? And I get this, and I like that. I think I'm all for that. I actually like reading the voices of people who are not like me, and writing about the voices of people who are not like me way more than I like reading or writing about straight white dudes. That said, right, with all the sort of diversity that I'm reading, and that's where I'm looking, and that's where my attention is, I sit here and go, is there a place for me eventually to be dead white dude? When we're sitting here talking about how there's too many dead white dudes who that's all that people ever get taught to read. It's just a thing I think about.
It is a thing that some people think about sometimes, Chris.
It's a thing that I think about a lot.
Okay, well, fucking write a thing. Write a thing about a thing.
Lots of things. I just gotta,
Write a thing about space pirates.
A thing about space pirates.
Yeah.
What would there be anything else to these space pirates, Steve?
No.
No, just they're space pirates.
Yeah.
Do they fly around in spaceships, or
Yes.
do they just kind of like they?
No, they just float around in space.
They float around on space horses, or like.
No, actually, the just start off like the first scene is like they're on like a pirate ship in space.
Okay.
And then they all explode because they're in space and they don't have spacesuits. The end.
The end. That's
Space pirates. Woo! I just wrote a
You
story.
just wrote a story. That's a pretty good short story, Steve.
It's very good.
Say the pirate ship somehow gets shunted off into space, and they've only got so much oxygen inside the magic bubble that shunted them off into space, and then there's a gigantic meteorite coming or something. And
You're adding on to my story.
Somebody's having an affair with someone else, and Captain Jack Sparrow wants her to.
Does this happen in Pirates of the Caribbean? They go into space?
No, but they should.
Is that hopefully in the new one?
That's the yeah. No, I saw a trailer.
Johnny Depp's out of money because of legal troubles. Time for a new Captain Jack Sparrow movie.
I saw a trailer for an extended trailer for the next Pirates of the Caribbean, which comes out at the end of this month. I saw it twice this weekend because I saw a certain Marvel film twice, and Jack Sparrow's he's back. And he's Johnny Depp, and he's probably up there on like the 75 to 85% sketchy with a lot of the public, but not with all of the public. Steve, this has been a really interesting thing to watch because all my woke students and woke friends, I'm probably using that term wrong, and
woke?
I'm gonna hate myself.
Is that when you have an awakened devil fruit? Drinking when you hear the One Piece stuff.
So like all the sort of socially conscious people I know who understand that Johnny Depp has done some allegedly done some horrible shit that's been settled out of court, so we'll never know exactly.
Just like if someone had a for-profit university that conned like hundreds of, if not thousands of people,
hypothetically,
hypothetically, out of shit tons of money, and they settled outside of court for probably like $25 million, right before they became some sort of powerful world leader,
Yeah. Well,
something like that.
Something like that. But a big portion of the population doesn't pay any attention to those sorts of things, right? Enough of a percentage of the population that they might, elect that sort of the university person, the hypothetical university person to a high office, and enough people that if Mr. Depp were to show up in costume as Captain Jack Sparrow on Pirates of the Caribbean: The Ride in Disneyland, that they would all be excited to see him and not booing and throwing stuff at him because he'd supposedly, allegedly beaten his wife.
Yes.
Have you seen the promo? Have you seen the stuff so at first it came out on social media like last week, and then they finally like had a polished Disney video within the last little bit. Johnny Depp in character, standing inside Pirates of the Caribbean, which is a boat ride. I don't know if you haven't been to Disney. We've talked about this.
I've never been.
So Pirates of the Caribbean is you're on a boat. You're going through these various scenes.
Are you singing that song, I'm on a boat?
Well, I think that's in the next version when they revamp for 2018.
And they took away the hookers out of it. And
they've done a lot of changes over the years, but they added Jack Sparrow, an animatronic, audio animatronic Jack Sparrow, within the last few years. So people riding the ride know to expect Jack Sparrow. They know he's part of it. But all of a sudden they come around a bend and they see Jack Sparrow in a place where he's not supposed to be. And it turns out it's Johnny Depp. And he's standing very still at first. And then he moves in a way that's far more sophisticated than an audio animatronic figure. And all the audience in the boat takes out their cell phones and are snapping pictures. And they're all excited to see him. And some of the ladies are flirting with him. And nobody seems to care at all about the fact that he maybe beat his wife. So it's been a really interesting thing for me to watch that. And my wife is not aware. My wife, who is pretty socially conscious, had no idea that Johnny Depp had any public relations troubles. So, like, there's a certain segment of the population that understands he's done some bad shit and has to sort of make up for it. But there's a whole portion of the populace that has no fucking idea.
I mean, I don't know, like, because unless any of us were there, we don't know what happened.
Right. Oh, yeah. No, I think that's exactly the case. But
I mean, you'd hope that somebody you think is a good person, or somebody you find to be a good actor. Like, you know, yeah. I think my favorite would be Fear and Loathing as far as Johnny Depp, because it was really great.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, it was Terry Gilliam, and
he throws himself into his roles. He is a good actor. He can be over the top, but I think he goes
just
over
like
the
those
top
awesome, like, Kevin Smith roles he was in, like in Tusk or Yoga Hosers.
He goes over the top, and it's the responsibility of the director and the editor to rein him in. Like, you must know what you're getting with Johnny Depp as a performer. And so then it's your decision to figure out exactly how much Johnny Depp you want.
I really liked that movie where it was the mustache movie. I forget what the fuck it was called.
Mordecai.
Yeah, that was really...
You know why I know that? Because I wrote a villanelle.
What is that?
Last month, a villanelle is a particular kind of structured poem, and I wrote a villanelle about Johnny Depp and Robert Frost. It's a very hard poem form to write, and I don't know how I ended up with Johnny Depp precisely. I've kind of already forgotten, but I went to his IMDb page and was looking for things that rhymed, and Mordecai was fit the rhyme at one point.
Well, it was just one of those stellar Hollywood decisions that. See, the thing is, like, Hollywood makes like bonehead decisions like that, and I'm changing the subject because I don't really want to talk about the fact that that's like spousal abuse. Although that's what we used to do on the fucking like radio show every week.
Is talk about people being accused of spousal abuse.
And like back on the Simulated True Leaf, back on the WDJM 91.3 FM in Framingham. The nipples of college radio.
I got a story about nipples for you later if we got time.
Every week we would have it. It would be Spousal Abuse Wednesday, and I'd play a Dead Milkmen song, which was called RC's Mom, which starts off, "I'm gonna beat my wife."
Yeah, that's not good.
And I just said, and this was really dumb, and it's fun because like you can look back at what the dumb things you did when you were younger and be like, wow, that was really stupid.
Yep.
We never had anybody call up, but I would say call up, and if you've committed spousal abuse, report yourself and call us up and tell us about it. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. No one ever did, thank God. And
I can't even imagine what you would do if it actually happened. Like if somebody called up, what's your responsibility at that point? Like, do you like then turn the tape over to the police? Do you like?
I don't know. Like what the fuck?
Like what?
But the thing is, like, there's no
you don't think of when you're in college and you're kind of doing a gag.
Yeah, and I'm trying to be a shock jock, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is fucking moronic.
Yeah,
what I'm doing, and well, you don't, because like I may be having a couple of beers here now, but we would do the show every week, pretty much blackout drunk hammered every time, if not like slightly less than that. So we were still somewhat coherent.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Mistakes. I made a few.
Da, 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 da.
But you know,
Do, 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 do.
too few to mention. You know. That's like I
But
forget.
Hollywood makes mistakes. is the
I
point
forget.
you would-
No, but I forget like who was talking about that song. I'm like, and why? Oh no, it was I think it was Ira Glass from This American Life was talking about that song. And
Yeah.
he's like the reason why I hate that song is it starts off it's like mistakes I made a few. He's like, okay, this is good. He's gonna just spill his guts.
Yeah.
And he's like, wait, yeah, you know what? Too few to mention. Why would you fucking bring it up in the first place?
Because he's a tease, Steve.
Yeah.
He's a tease.
All right, Sinatra.
Sinatra.
But yeah, so I mean, so
He was up there on the 50 Shades of Sketchy.
who
Sinatra?
Yeah.
Wasn't he?
Well, he was pretty much an asshole.
Yeah. Him and his old Rat Pack. They're probably all up there on the sketchy side.
I don't think there are people alive
I think
that
if you're part of a pack, Rat Pack, Brat Pack, Frat Pack, sketchy.
I don't think there are people that encountered Sinatra aside from maybe his family that had like wonderful things to say about him aside from the
Yeah.
fact that he was a good singer.
Right. Yeah.
And so
That's got to count for something.
I mean, it's weird because like the way we have our society like built nowadays is that like people's private personas
Right.
are out in the open, whereas like in the past, like at least the press and everybody else sort of like just let people be their sketchy selves.
Right.
To themselves, which was beneficial in certain circumstances, whereas like someone who was homosexual, where it was frowned upon in those days, that the media would keep that under wraps,
Right.
So they could have their private life, and also be a star or do something like that,
Yeah.
and. It was shitty when there was infidelity going on and other fucking shit like that. But like it was good and bad. I don't know, whatever the fuck I'm trying to say.
I know. I see what you're trying to say. Is that people could live their private lives. It was not necessarily always good because there was probably some bad shit happening that should have come to light.
Right.
But it was more often good than not because people could, like you say, somebody could. What stays in P-Town, what happens in P-Town stays in P-Town.
No, not anymore.
Not anymore.
Like someone with the cell phone camera. I mean, if something.
Well, of course, people with nobody has anything to be afraid of. One of my my gay friends just like was sending out some pictures on Instagram of himself going around.
No, but I think the problem arises is when like someone isn't ready to come out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And like I mean. Enforcing somebody out of the closet, I don't think is something that should be done.
No,
like let people come out on the way they want to, and just basically I mean, it's difficult as it is.
Yeah,
and then having it be something that you want to do as opposed to something that's forced upon you and then you're embarrassed by.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
So Hollywood makes mistakes. This is one of the you were going to say.
I don't know what the fuck I was getting at.
All right. No,
But like they make a mistake like Mordecai, where it's a shit heap of a movie.
Yeah.
But they don't take chances on like a film that with a mid-level budget. They're like, I want a fucking big budget comic book movie, which is something you saw that you might,
twice
might talk about a little bit later.
Yeah.
And that is guaranteed to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Because of the way things have been going with that particular grouping of films.
Right.
And then there's teeny independent films that are made for like $1 million, which is ridiculous to think that $1 million is not a lot of money.
A lot of people. It takes a lot of people to make a film, Steve.
Yeah, I know.
And if you want to pay them well, you end up at like $1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, not well, but if you want to pay them,
if you want to pay them at all,
a living wage,
you
to work on the film, that yeah. So, but there's no middle ground films nowadays. So like. You get like an amazing indie film every once in a while,
right.
But you get a lot of garbage from that vein as well because inexperienced filmmakers coupled with lack of funds and lack of talent
right.
could make something that's not great.
Yeah.
Occasionally you get something that is not great but also good, you know.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, it all plays. There's a bunch of factors there. I mean, one of them is the democratization of distribution, right? Anybody with and of technology. So, like anybody with a cell phone can shoot 1080p video. Will that video by itself be good? No, but you can also hook a decent lighting rig and a decent microphone up to your phone and shoot a decent looking film.
Or like a music video.
Or
like,
a music.
I like my women nice and round. Did you forget we watched that after last week's show?
I put it in the show notes last
good.
week. I didn't. I did not forget it. No, but I mean, people can make anything they want.
We need to come back to that.
All right. People can make anything they want. Video, publications. I mean, this is going back to my earlier thing. People can put out any books they want. It's impossibly cheap, and there's almost no constraints other than knowing how to run a little bit of software to putting a book on the Amazon Kindle store, for instance. So there's that, which leads to a problem with discovery, right? So if everybody can put anything out, how do you, the reader, the viewer, or the whatever, find stuff that's any good to watch, to listen to?
Or if you're an attorney, how do you find all the things that you need to discover for your case to develop a decent enough case for your client?
Right.
I mean, there might be attorneys listening, and they're like, "Wow, they talked about our profession for a second."
Yeah, you know, if you're sitting there and you're trying to protect the trademarks of your your clients,
don't.
and you're like, you know, I don't know if this joke that these people are making about a lemonade made out of tree bark, a bark-aid, if you will, I don't know if that infringes upon the rights of my client. So yeah, you got to look for a needle in a haystack.
Yeah.
Or
you have to listen to a podcast that you may or may not like and enjoy listening to.
But so one part of it is discovery. Now the other part of it for the movie,
it sort of had like the sound of like a David Byrne to it, like I know you want to leave me. Why don't we pretend? Where we go, little man, cute.
Are you
Why
making fun
not?
Of my song again?
Late at night, wake him up.
I was going to say the other part of it is that movie studios, it costs a lot of money to make a movie, and they don't feel like they can get the return on their investment for these small little movies. So they lay all their cards on the table for every goddamn summer blockbuster they put out there, hoping that at least
and then shit
some
like
of them
Batman v Superman and like Suicide Squad, like
that stuff, comes out. I mean, it's you know they're
like they still are. I mean. Did those movies do well internationally? Because like
I don't know. That's a good question. I'm not sure. I think they did well enough that they're continuing to make.
Well, they're making fucking
movies.
Justice League, and they made the Wonder Woman one.
Wonder Woman's out in like a month, and Justice League's out later this year. They're starting production on like Aquaman and the Flash and stuff like that. I don't know. I had this other thought earlier today, which is that this system and a lot of these studios, regardless of what their properties are trying this linked universe thing. I don't know that is a necessarily great idea in and of itself. I think that idea...
Well, you know that the biggest linked universe is the one where Detective Munch is in. And I was listening to Comedy Bang Bang recently.
Do I need to drink?
No, this is not. This is
Detective Munch.
Detective Munch from Law and Order.
Yes. Okay. Mm-hmm.
So he has been in more television crossovers than I think any other character. Well, his character of Detective Munch has been in more television crossovers than any other character or television character in history. So.
Well, and he...
So we just need to add Detective Munch to every so everything's in the Munchiverse.
He's a big reason why everything is in the... What's the name of the kid on... Is it St. Elsewhere? St. Elsewhere is the one where it all turns out to be taking place in a snow globe that belongs to an autistic kid, right?
I don't remember.
Anyway, there was a big chart out there ages ago that showed that practically every television series from the like 1930s, 40s, 50s, whenever whenever, so 40s or 50s, whenever TV started, all the way to present day is all linked by this one kid because one or two people crossed over with St. Elsewhere, and then those people crossed over with all these other things. So literally all of television happening in that snow globe.
I was Detective Munch ever in that?
I think he's a big part of how you get all the connections. So you only need one or two people to cross over into many things, and then one person to cross over with him, and it starts this whole web.
This is probably how in SVU they get stories that are ripped from the headlines. But
because the kid is looking at his snow globe and he's watching Fox News.
They have this disclaimer at the beginning of the show that's saying all this is fictional and there's nothing true about everything we're doing.
Yeah,
even though it's very fucking. It's like oh my god, I keep on bringing this one back up because it was probably the most egregious. Yeah, was the Gamergate one where Ice-T is explaining gamer terms because they go to some fucking nerd convention and like Ice-T's like, I play fucking video games. Yeah. Okay, Ice-T. Oh my god, he might in real life. But. He might.
Yeah. So I don't know about my earlier point about they keep betting on the big things. I don't know if you heard this news. They're considering
putting Detective Munch in the new Guardians 3.
Well, I think they'll have been to Earth maybe by that point. I don't know. It's unclear. I know that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, James Gunn has come out and said will take place after the next two Avengers films.
Two Avengers.
Yeah,
films.
So there's Avengers Infinity War, which comes out in 2018, and then Avengers whatever it's called that comes out in 2019, and Guardians will take place after both of those. But it's not clear whether the Guardians are coming to Earth or the Avengers are going to space.
You know what? Either way, you could watch any of those films.
If they bring, what I'm saying is, will the Avengers remember to bring Detective Munch, or are the Guardians going to have to go pick him up?
I don't know. But one thing that anybody can do, watching any of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is if you have an itchy ball sack, you can scratch it while watching those films.
You can. There's certainly.
But if you don't want to do that, get some Gold Bond medicated powder and sprinkle it on your balls.
Sprinkle it on your balls. This episode of Horribly Off Topic brought to you by Gold Bond
educated
powder. Educated powder. Sprinkle it on your balls. And
I think Gold Bond educated powder is better, but I don't know if we'll get into a copyright problem with that.
Gold Bond educated powder. Sprinkle it on your balls, and your children will be
wicked smart
geniuses. Gold Bond educated powder. I don't know, like 50 shades of sketchy Gold Bond educated powder. This is the first time in a long time that there have been two so good.
I thought there was one last week that was I forget what it was. After I did the It's Not Easy Being Portuguese.
There was another one, and I can't remember what it was. And I thought about it, and I was feeling really bad. I was feeling really bad at myself at the end of last episode. So.
Why? The last episode was really good.
No, it was, but I said like one or two things that made me very uncomfortable. And I don't remember what they were in particular. I think it was just how long I went on about the differences between bears and otters and whatever. And I started to feel like I farted to steal. I started to feel like I was being...
Sometimes when I'm like that's when I used to be a burglar, like that's how I would give away.
You just farted.
Cut gassers in the home that I was invading. I've never done that. That was jokes.
Statute of limitations, Steve.
Well, I never actually did it.
Statute of limitations.
The statute of limit nothing. I didn't fucking do it.
Sure.
I mean, there was some antics that some of the people I knew got into trouble with prior to being 18.
Donuts standing behind a convenience store.
Oh, what fucking donut heist? I will talk about donut heist till the cows come home.
We have talked about that before. I forget what.
Oh my god, it was like, why would you leave your donuts outside?
I don't know.
It was funny because we the first time we did it, it was a big to do. We got him, I got him in the car, and then we each ate one, and then we kind of felt bad, and so we tied the bag back up and put it back. And it's funny, a friend of ours whose name begins with an R. Let's just leave it at that. Yeah. He was putting it back, and we were all trying to to indicate where he needed to put it to put it back in the place where it was. Like, I don't think they were dusting for prints over the donut fucking heist. Like 5 missing donuts. But like he could not understand where to put the fuck.
Right.
No, he was the one who got it, and there, like we have photographic we had photographic evidence.
Statute of limitations.
Yeah, I mean, holy shit, that's like almost like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
That like stealing 5 donuts. I think way past that.
I should hope so.
I think that's as petty as larceny can get. Isn't that what we called that particular episode?
Yeah, it might be. It might be something like that.
So yeah, like we're all pointing at it and we're trying to be quiet because we're stealing donuts. And we're like, donuts right fucking there. And he's just like, huh? And this is why I'm bummed that our buddy's website no longer exists, because all these photos of us like doing the donut. There was like photographic evidence of us, committing a very minor crime, just like on the internet.
No, I'm not.
I mean, it was all like.
Have you tried the Internet Wayback Machine, Steve?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to ask him and be like, I want to fucking see those donut heist pictures again.
All right. I promised to. Well, I didn't. I mentioned nipples. You mentioned making fun of me more about my music video.
I like my women nice and round.
Then we got some other things on here.
But I had never seen it before. Why didn't you ask me to be part of this?
But to be part of the video, I don't know. I don't know if I was responsible for asking many people. I think
I'm sort of bummed out.
I think I asked my brother, and he was responsible for anybody from. I don't know if he just got a. He and Rob came. My friend.
Maybe John did ask me, and I was like, "Fuck no."
My friend John Martin brought one of his friends at the time, who's in the video. I brought Stephanie, and then Sean, who directed the video, brought pretty much everybody else. My friend Larson did show up. And then we also
and this was in the early
this
aughts.
was early aughts. This is 2000 or maybe 2001, but
it might have been like if it was 2001. Oh wait, no, it couldn't have been 2001 because your brother was still here.
Yeah. No, so it's like
your brother left, and I make this little comment every once in a while, and it's a good thing that he and my cousin decided to drive to Los Angeles,
right? Yes,
because he would have been taking a plane from Logan Airport to LAX,
possibly on a Tuesday morning,
in early September 2001.
Yeah.
So,
So no, so maybe it must have been 2000.
So what the fuck was I like? I don't know what the fuck I was doing.
So I made a music video and you weren't in it. But
bummed.
Somehow you had never seen it.
Yes.
Somehow you had never seen it, and last week after we finished recording the episode, you watched it and laughed your ass off.
It was pretty fucking funny.
It's
on YouTube. You linked it, right?
I did link it.
Okay, so if you guys want to link it again, so in case they missed last week's episode.
Well, this comes out of like we had a whole 2 episodes about your band back in the day, and we kind of talked about my band at the time, and my band broke up in 1997 or so.
Around the time we were graduating.
Yeah, 1997, like summer of 97, I think we, like early 97 we broke up. Summer 97 we got together one last time, and then we were pretty much done. And around then I got a computer, and around then I also got a keyboard, and I started working on my own music. I took a computer music class in college, and I just started slowly putting stuff together. So by the time I graduated in 99, I had the start of an album. And then in 99 into 2000, MP3.com was a big thing. And I put out an album. And then I was like, I don't know, I was slacking on my writing. It was easier to make music, and it was easier to find collaborators for music stuff. So I was like, let's make a music video. And this was going to be the way I didn't have illusions that I was great, but it seemed like you could put your music out there and maybe make a name for your.
Yeah. I mean, that was the illusion that we had when Dan and I sort of put out the Ape's Choice.
Yeah.
Is that maybe somebody would stumble upon it.
Right.
and be like, wow, this is great, or wow, this is something that is sort of funny, or wow, this is something
I mean, this goes back to the Hollywood thing and the democratization thing. Is like, yeah, you can put it out there, but nobody just stumbles across anything.
I mean, it has to be like insanely well marketed, and I mean, Becky's pretty good at it, but I have been terrible.
No, I'm shitty at it myself. So when I sit here and I think about ways to put my work out there, it's it doesn't. But I mean, I've got some things I'm working on. You know, I've been reading a lot about getting people on the mailing lists and stuff. So pretty soon I'm going to have a free book to hand to people who will.
And
sign
don't
up for my
forget
mailing list.
to, like, in that free book, put a little blurb about the podcast
my
that you
free
do.
podcast that you can get every week.
Cross promotion, Chris.
Cross promotion. And anyway, so I made this music video back in the day. It was part of the first album. I ended up making a second album just a few years ago with way more collaboration with other musicians. I actually like the second, much same way that you and Dan are proud of what you did with Ape's Choice. I did a second album that feels to me like a pretty good indie album.
Yeah.
Like maybe like in New York there's Broadway, there's off Broadway, and then there's off Broadway. So maybe my album is kind of like off indie. I don't know. Like, I'm not saying it's great, but I was prouder of it than the earlier one, and I can still listen to some of the songs from it.
I can still listen to the songs of Hot Pants, but there's some that I can't.
Yeah.
I can't at all, because like the thing is, like, we recorded it, like, or at least that first album, over the course of like maybe 2 weekends.
Right.
Like, and it was just fucking boom, 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 boom. Okay, we're done this one. Let's do it. Oh, okay, it didn't work out. Like, we can't hear the vocals on this one. Fuck it, it's on the album.
Yeah. Well, and so like there's good bones of stuff on that early album, but it was all recorded on Windows. And a couple of years ago, I was in a fit of trying to get rid of anything that on my computer and in my cabinets that I wasn't going to use again. I got rid of all the software that I used to make it, and I got rid of all the files that I used to make it. So now, if I have all the samples that I used to make the particular things, but I don't have any of the software. So if I were going to recreate any of that stuff, it would kind of be like what I imagine Dan and you did with the stuff that you recreated for Ape's Choice. Anyway, so like,
the new song that we wrote, "Diary of a Hobo," which is the theme song for this particular show.
Like, so I like Nice and Round. I still think, you know, it's
not a bad song. Like, as much as I was giving you shit about it, it wasn't bad.
But it's a cheesy,
I said, it was like you had that definite, like, gruff Dave Byrne.
Yes. Well, and I didn't know what I was doing then. I didn't have a sort of an aesthetic I was shooting for. I remember somebody on mp3.com, it was like a backhanded compliment. It was like Joy Division meets something. It meets like Pepe, I don't know. And
Pepe Le Pew.
Yeah, maybe. But, you know, by the time I did the second one, I felt...
Oh, speaking of the French, they elected Chacaron Macaron instead of the alt-right.
Did they really?
The French came through...
The fucking French came through?
The fucking French came through where
Holy
the
shit.
English and us here in the United States fucking blew it.
Wow. I'm actually like, I don't know. I kind of
his name isn't Chacaron Macaron, but
but I kind of like put that whole thing
like
out
Macron,
of my
I think.
mind because there's been so much depressing news lately in terms of politics, and so I was like,
the French they did it.
Holy
Good
shit.
job, you guys. You held the fucking EU together.
I'm part French, by the way.
So am I.
Well, lay claim to our French roots now that they've done something great.
Well, I think it's more French Canadian.
Yeah, well, but that's originally French. Speaking of roots, so
Kunta Kinte?
Yeah, kinda. So maybe I talked about this last time. The We're Related app.
Are we related?
No, we're not related. But
Oh.
there's an app called We're Related. It ties into Ancestry.com and ties into Facebook. And what it does is it starts you off with like 5 famous people it can chart that you're related to based on your family tree and their family trees. And then every day it gives you a new relative. somebody else you're related to. Well, the other day when I was about to head in to go see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 for the first time, it picked that, and that was the day that
Chris Pratt?
It was the day that no, it's really bad. So that was the day that the Republicans had decided to gut healthcare in our country, and I was
it only made it through one.
Right.
It made it through the House of Representatives.
Yes.
It did not make it through the Senate yet.
Not yet.
You know,
give it time. At any rate, so We're Related picked that day. Of course, I don't think the algorithm can possibly sense that. I mean, maybe it should be able to sense it if it looks at my fucking Facebook feed that I'm a liberal. It picked that day with that news to remind me, and I knew of this from a prior bit of research, that I'm related to Sarah fucking Palin.
Ah.
And I was like, this is wonderful. I'm turning off my phone now so I can go spend the next couple of hours with a baby tree and a talking raccoon. Fucking Sarah Palin.
I imagine that, I think Baby Groot, would be the thing that I dislike most about the movie. Once I see it.
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of thing that annoys me about.
What do you think would annoy you? I'm not going to spoil anything. I loved it. I think if the first movie,
I mean, I don't think that I'll dislike it, but I think that's the thing that I will dislike in it.
I was just going to say before we go any further, because I'm more interested in what you have to say than what I have to say.
I just like
What is it about that that is the kind of thing that bugs you?
I don't know. It's just like it's like Muppet Babies in fucking Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm like, why do you need to do this? Like, you could have had him be like, or just had it happen later and have the Groot be normal again. Or
I think for story reasons, it's really important that this happens when it does. It's only taking place a few months after the prior one, and I think it's enough time for them to have become sort of a close-knit unit, but also still be on each other's nerves.
Well, you know, it's you know, like, and go
I
back.
think that means Baby Groot.
Going back to I guess, but going back to One Piece, that's about the amount of time the crew spends together, like prior to the time skip.
Okay.
Like they spend, I think, or at least as a total unit, very not that, but like as the group as a whole, they I think only spend a couple weeks together.
Yeah. Well, I'll be curious what you think about it. I wasn't sure how I'd feel about Baby Groot either. It's not the sort of thing that instinctively I think is going to bug me. But I was wondering, and I really liked how he fit in there, and he fits into certain
I might
themes.
not be annoyed, is what you're saying?
I don't want to make any promises because I feel like
you make me promises that you never keep, Chris. Promises.
I know, Steve. I'm so sorry. I don't know any of the rest of the words to that song, or I would have tried to make my response funnier. I'm looking at my goddamn phone here for a second, and there's a hole in it that I'm like, is that hole part of the phone?
What?
I think that hole is part. That hole up there, is that part of the phone?
Yeah, that's a camera, isn't it?
No, the camera. I think the camera's over there.
I don't know what that hole is.
Maybe that is the camera. I don't know.
It's double cameras. Double guns.
Double guns?
Double James guns.
Double James guns. Wait. All right. So we got to flip this around. I just got to find out, nope, that. See? I put my thumb over that. That's that. Oh, wait a minute. What the fuck? It is like a double camera.
Look at that, buddy.
What the fudge?
You've had that phone for almost a fucking year.
Yeah, I know.
You just noticed the hole there?
I just noticed an extra hole in my phone.
Are we almost done?
We're almost done. Yes. So we could lightning round it, or we could just we don't need to talk about any of these. There's news here that's been news. It was news like
weird news.
There was like news that was like 2-3 weeks old here. Night Trap is coming to PS4.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Night Trap before.
It's just weird that that's coming back.
It's one of those games that that caused a hullabaloo back in the early 90s.
And I think people are going to be like, ooh, what was the hullabaloo about? They're going to get it, and they're going to be disappointed.
They're going to be, it's going to be like, I think it basically brought it made, I think because Sega, I don't think they were rating games at that point.
Yeah.
and it basically necessitated the creation of the ESRB,
Oh, yeah.
which for better or worse tells people that games are bad or good.
Right.
But the thing is, like, it also, like with the television rating system, if a game is like an AO, which is the adults only game, like certain retail outlets like Amazon, or not Amazon, GameStop
won't even carry
it. You have to shoot to not make a game that's adults only.
Right. Yep.
You want to like have it be M for mature, but like, if you look at fucking games like Grand Theft Auto 5, there's like a ridiculous amount of violence and whatnot in that game, and it's rated M for mature as opposed for adults only, and it should be for adults only because that fucking game. It's great. It's a great game.
Once.
It's a great game. I mean, there's some, there's like certain missions that are like obnoxious to do, but that has nothing to do with like, the game and how, like, I mean, you basically like there's a mission in that game, and spoilers if you haven't played GTA 5, a game that's like over fucking 2 years old.
Yeah.
Like you there's like an Apple event or like some sort of like
a technology
event where you blow up the head of the guy who's the head of the company.
Is he wearing glasses and a black turtleneck?
Yeah, well, no, but but like he's the head of this company, and you basically blow up his head because like live on like their shareholders meeting thingy that's live broadcast on the internet and whatnot, and you do that and cause like their stock to plummet. And so basically part of the game is that you can invest in a stock like that, and then and then do something illegal that causes the stock to rise and then make a lot of money because of it, and vice versa.
Wow. All right. Well, Jeff Goldblum is joining Jurassic Park 2. Any comment about that?
You mean Jurassic World 2?
Jurassic World 2. See,
you already was in Jurassic Park 2.
I made that mistake last week as well when we were talking about adding that to the notes. Yeah, so he's joining Jurassic World 2 with Star-Lord, Chris Pratt.
Oh, so look at that. Like,
look at that.
Dr. Ian Malcolm.
Those two guys who are in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Also in another
cinematic universe.
Hopefully Munch will be in there too.
And Seth Rogen is going to play Pumbaa in The Lion King.
That sounds great. That's it gets worse every time I try to do it.
When I was a young warthog. No, I can't do it. That's one of his lines. I want to know, why do they
need to make these fucking live action versions of things?
Because they make a lot of fucking money.
Yeah, I guess.
Why
not just re-release them in the theaters and then you don't have to fucking spend money?
Because they are dated to kids, I think. Those are like the things they watch at like Grammy and Grampy's house. They want their own new version, I think. Like the Lion King is an amazing film. It's an amazing film that like looks like 90s animation. Like, it's
but like it still
today,
looks great.
It would not stand up in a world of like Coco and Coco's Pixar. But in a world of like Zootopia and Wreck-It Ralph and those things, I don't think The Lion King holds up. So you release it in this new form factor, and you make some updates to it, and
Are they going to get Nathan Lane to come back and play Timon?
No, they got somebody else playing Timon. I forget who, but yeah, it's Rogan and some other asshole.
Some other asshole.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was the news. That was a good quick
What's
news
the news,
round.
Robin?
I think that was so. Now I can cross that stuff off the list, and maybe next time we can talk about
pop music,
Pinball Wizard.
Oh yeah, shit. Oh yeah, like I'll bring it up brief, like a teaser.
Yeah,
Pinball Wizard, very awesome pinball arcade in southern New Hampshire. Has closed for good.
Yeah, so we should talk about that.
And I was lucky enough to be able to go.
Yeah.
to their final day, and it was a fucking mob scene there.
Right. Well, it's good at least. I mean, it's sad that it couldn't be a mob scene before that, so they wouldn't have had to close.
No, I don't think that was the issue.
Okay. All right.
I think Sarah did a pretty good business there. I think it was just that they were raising her rent an obscene amount.
Right.
Whoever's the landlord there, and it was just like the amount. I think the amount of profit that she was seeing would have diminished too much, to make it worthwhile to stay open.
Got it.
And there are other places in the area that will pick up the slack, I think. So
yeah. Okay.
Fingers crossed, and hopefully they'll have alcohol at their disposal.
Yeah. Well, at the bar, not at the arcade.
At the arcade bar.
At the arcade bar.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll sell some Bark-Aid there.
What?
At the arcade bar. Maybe
like
they'll sell some Bark-Aid.
You're a fucking asshole. You can find the show notes for this
episode at clarkwoods.com/hot/145. If you have anything to say to us about anything we've said, you can send an email to hot@clarkwoods.com, or you can tweet us. I'm at ECC1977.
And I am at Tuesday is Loser. That's Tuesday, IS, Loser, all one word.
That's another one in the can. When you go in the can, do you go in the can? Like, are you in the can?
Could you have stumbled more over that statement?
It was a question.